Good afternoon, folks. We are live and up and running once again. Let me get everything switched over and we will jump back into work on the factory in Factorio. Okay, we should have audio and video running through the chill royalty-free playlist today. All right. So it has been, I think, a couple weeks since we were streaming Factorio, and quite a bit has changed. So for folks who are catching this live or maybe watching in the archives later, we have moved on to a new planet. So let me backtrack out here. We started on Novice. It's the base world we started at what seems like eons ago, and at this point probably over 100 hours ago. Built our way up. I actually haven't checked in on the Novice base in a while, but I'm going to assume it's doing okay because we haven't got any spam warnings that it's been getting attacked. If we go here... Oh, I might not have had the auxiliary base completed when we last streamed. That might have been what I was working on. Okay, we can talk about that briefly because I can zoom in a little and kind of look around. So the auxiliary base, which we expanded to across the previous sessions, is more or less complete and up and running. It doesn't have everything that I would normally create here, but if we take a look, and it's nighttime, so it might be a little bit hard to see on the footage. But we set up all of the essential items with a combination of logistic bots, and there's a huge swarm of them just moving. And so we have the bots and a combination of main bus lines, so it's kind of a hybrid setup here. But the point in setting up the auxiliary base was to condense down production for a lot of the key things that we normally would need, rather than have it be as spread out as it was in the original site. So this is kind of like a better, more efficiently organized base that will be easier to work from when I need to do things. And I was able to get all the way up to the rocketry level of tech. So if I need to build a new platform or send things to space, I can more or less do it easier because all the stuff is organized instead of in the main base where it's very spread out. And this is the original layout that we started with at the beginning of the game, and I still could find whatever I need, but it's not really organized in any clear fashion. We just expanded out as we needed to and dropped stuff wherever. This is still where all the power is being generated though, and by creating the expansion in the auxiliary base with the rail line, which I should probably check the cannons, make sure they're not running low on ammo. This railway line down here actually connects the power grids. So my first plan was to ship uranium fuel and set up nuclear power in the auxiliary base, but because we had to connect everything here, it ended up just linking up to the main power network. So our overall total charge, 2.1 gigawatts of power, which is not being consumed terribly fast because the production is more or less stalled. If I turn on something to research, which maybe I will do here, I'll have to think about it, that way we can get more tech being researched. We still have a few things left on the tree for the previous tier. Upgrading artillery stuff, I think I'll need to work on some more. Maybe we go range. This is going to take a long time. This will probably take a couple hours. But I should turn on the rail again. The artillery is starting to slowly deplete a little bit. We'll just turn this back on. This railway is set up to just automatically traffic gear, specifically artillery ordnance, from where it's being dropped off the bottom of the main base to the auxiliary, so that I can keep all of the perimeter artillery cannons stocked, and they can keep the biters out. Oh, I keep accidentally hitting the wrong thing. Looking at the map, the overall bug presence has been pushed way back outside of our territory. If I upgrade the range on artillery cannons, then it'll push them back even further. So I think we're more or less okay. If they do manage to get close, which I don't see anything. Maybe there's no cloud because a lot of production has just stopped for the moment. But if they happen to encroach on our territory, then the cannons should force them back, and then the immediate perimeter defenses with uranium turrets and laser turrets should keep the bugs from punching through. So I think the novice base is more or less secure for a while. Eventually we'll need to head back because I'll need to retool the science research. Or I might just leave it, since back up the original site. Where are we? All the science research is being done. It's in the middle. Here. This is where all of the immediate science research is being done in the first iteration of the base. But if we flip over to Volcanus, I set up a bit more of a comprehensive science setup, and this is not the perfect solution for everything, but this will work for now. And production is more or less stopped here as well, because we have all the things that were being crafted, specifically the different sciences which are here. The most recent being orange, and then the critical regular ones. And I just realized I didn't set my power close enough for red. But the intention was, since this stuff will just keep producing until it runs out of space, I set up these overflows so it'll keep producing science. So when it turns on, hopefully it won't just get bottlenecked. But then over here, I forgot to put this tower closer. I wonder if I can use the logistics bots to do this. Let's try it. Okay, good. It'll grab the component for the power pole from where it was being produced, as long as it's on the network. I should probably drop some more construction bots into the network here so I can do this and not have to worry about returning to the planet. But okay, that should be 4 there. And we could do... Likewise, it should do the same thing. Should grab a bulk inserter and a chest. We'll make sure it drops down, and then we can head out from here. There it goes. Okay. The ability to be able to command your operation to do things while not having to fly physically to the planet is something I need to remember that I can do, as long as it's not too complicated. Okay. So Volcanus right now, I think our main base here is fine. I wouldn't mind rebuilding a setup kind of like we did with the novice auxiliary base, just to organize everything a little better. But for now, I think it's fine. When we have the ability to fill in hazard areas like lava, we need foundation, which won't be unlocked till pretty much the end of the game. Once I can do that, maybe I'll work on retooling the bases so that they're pretty and organized. But for now, everything here is pretty functional. And so looking back at the map, we are now on planet of Fulgora. And this one looks like it's equidistant from Novice. It's just in the opposite direction. It is further from the sun than Volcanus, so its solar power is much lower, 20%. Because Volcanus is really close to the sun, being a hot planet. That's why solar energy is so much more abundant there. But Fulgora presents a whole new host of challenges for Factorio when you eventually get here. And what I found so far is that every planet I've gone to has had a different core mechanic that changes how the game plays. It's almost like learning the game from ground zero. And you have to kind of master the gimmick in order to be successful on the planet and move on to the next one. And then Gleba is going to be the next one we go to eventually. It'll be a bit, but our next target will be there, and Aquilo is our last main target. And that one is kind of like the final stop in the end game. There's some other stuff out here which I'll have to figure out. But if we go down to Fulgora, the big thing that's different on this planet that makes it unique compared to all the others is the fact that it is an island-based map. Well, I've done some walking around and checked out the map. There are these continent island landmasses that dot the surface of Fulgora. And initially you drop down into kind of a small area, but there is no easy way to connect these planets initially. Not planets, islands. If we get off of the main mass here, we have this oil ocean that we can walk on, but in the darker parts we have slow traversal. It's kind of like slow sand, and in the slightly lighter one it's a little bit slower, but this is a material that we can't build on the regular oil ocean or deep oil ocean. So this is what binds or cuts off the boundaries of each island on Fulgora. In addition to the islands, there are no naturally occurring ores or raw materials like there are on the other planets. So no iron ore, no copper ore, no stone, no coal. No uranium, none of that. The only native item is scrap, which I'll get to in a sec. In addition to the restricted building space, you could see as the weather changes pretty abruptly, there are constant lightning storms that hit Fulgora in a bit of a cycle. They tend to go like every other minute or every couple minutes. Those are dangerous. If you're just running around unprotected on the planet's surface and you get hit by lightning, it will do a ton of damage. And in my current armor, it cuts my life in half. I think if I get struck twice, it will kill me. As a result, that is the main quote-unquote hazard or danger on Fulgora. There's no hostile life forms. Unlike Novice, where we have the biters who are constantly attacking us, and Volcanus, where we have the demolishers, the territorial worms, on Fulgora, there's no hostile organisms, it's just the weather. So the main gimmick to start is figuring out how to build up your main site with automation so that you can start processing all the materials. And in order to do that, you have to build lightning towers or lightning rods. These attract the incoming bolts of lightning whenever there's a storm, and they cover a pretty decent range, if I zoom way out here, there's this light blue radius you can see. That is the coverage of all of the lightning towers. So anything within this blue bubble will be protected from incoming lightning strikes, because if lightning strikes your buildings, it'll do damage and it'll destroy them eventually. So as you set up your initial base, and you can see there's just a boatload of accumulators all over. These are set up to receive the charges pulled in by the lightning rods, and then it stores them like a battery, each individual accumulator, and that creates our power grid. So when it's stormy, all of our lightning rods are drawing power down and throwing them into the accumulators and building them up into a surplus, and that's what all of the buildings are using to run in the base. And when the accumulators top out, then it'll stay full, but as long as it's stormy and as long as there's lightning, it'll continue to refill the power grid. And then when we get a clear stretch where there's no storm, it'll deplete, and I think I've got enough of a buffer that it will at least last the grid enough until it gets to the next storm cycle, and then it'll fill back up again. I've only had it sort of black out once. So there's the first main gimmick of Fulgora is dealing with the fact that you have limited construction space initially. Second major thing to figure out is harnessing the hostile weather to supplement and create your power grid in order to power buildings. The third mechanic, and the biggest one on Fulgora, is the abundant material that you find in these large deposits. These kind of white scattered deposits here. This is scrap. This is the quote-unquote native material that spawns on all the islands on Fulgora. And scrap can be mined with drills. I think small drills or the big ones, which will do it a little more efficiently, mines into raw scrap. And this material on its own can't be used for anything. But when you start mining it or harvesting it, you'll unlock the ability to recycle. And on our person, we have the ability to do it just in hand if we have raw scrap. And basically, if you can see on the pop-up here, when we recycle one piece of scrap, it's got a percentage chance to create the following materials. It will create wheels at 20%, solid fuel at 7%, concrete 6%, and so on. The way the item economy works on Fulgora, and I had to learn all this when I got here, and I'm still learning as we go. The main gimmick to production here is setting up these items, these buildings, recyclers, to process the scrap, and then setting up a way to process the scrap into whatever materials you need that are the most pressing. So let's see, down here is sort of the main area where we initially set it up. So here's a good example. The drills are feeding down a line of scrap to the first layer of recyclers, which are spitting out the raw components. And then the raw components follow the belt, and I have some inserters set with custom filters to grab the specific bits that I need and dump them into storage chests to be used for different things. The remaining stuff that doesn't get filtered out into a spot that I want to save gets passed along the belt down here to a separate area of recyclers, and this tall column here takes the additional components and it breaks them down further. So if you take the raw material that's spat out from the scrap and you recycle it again, it will either break them down into simpler components or destroy them altogether on a percent chance. So for example, the wheels. If the wheels get fed back into the recyclers, there's a chance that they'll spit out iron plates. And so the key to balancing, and again, I don't have a perfect system here, and we'll have to watch this to see if it backs up and stops. The idea is to have it constantly circulating materials to grab what I need, and then breaking down and recycling the stuff I don't need, so that it's in a continuous loop. And that's why there's these other parts here. This is another row of recyclers meant to break things down into simpler components, specifically iron plates, copper plates, iron ore, and we always need green circuits. So I have green circuits being pulled here as well. And then whatever doesn't get pulled from the secondary recycling gets sent off to the other part, which was the first part of the setup. Actually, I did this one first. And so we don't want this line to back up and stop, because it's going to quit giving us materials that we need. And so unlike all the other production loops on the other planets, on Fulgora we're trying to come up with the cleanest, most efficient cycle for taking materials, recycling them, keeping what we need, breaking down what we don't need, and keeping it going so that we can be constantly building and upgrading our tech. And the unique ore that we get from recycling scrap on a pretty small chance is this: holmium. Holmium is a raw ore that's used to craft a bunch of critical components we need for Fulgora's tech. And that's easily the most valuable thing that we get. And it's probably the lowest percent chance on recycling. 1%. One of the lowest. That and low density structure, one of my least favorite materials in the game, are pretty low percent. So that's why we can't have the raw scrap stop. We need this to keep going so that it can feed the material onto the line and get us the rarer ones. Because holmium, which I'll explain in a sec, zooming out further, the layout here is not as organized as I'd like it to be. We actually started over here, and this is my first sort of trial run setup. There's some stuff here that I craft that I have to run back and get every once in a while, like the modules. But in general, this is like an alpha version of the base while I learned how to navigate the recycling, and then I moved up here where it was a little bit bigger. But now this area is too small. So the main goal today will be to expand from here to this big continent looking thing here. And this is going to be where we start to really establish the base and produce science. Because if we get back to the main site here, holmium, which has to be processed with some basic fluid components up here, starts with the ore being broken down with stone in chemical plants into solution. And I might need to add some more tanks so that production doesn't completely stop. Well, there's a bit of a surplus. But the solution for holmium gets crafted into plates. And it's just, is it raw solution? Yep. The solution itself gets crafted into holmium plates, and holmium plates are used for a bunch of specific tech we need to unlock the research stuff for this planet specifically. Just like we had to get orange science on Volcanus, we need to get purple or magenta. What color is that? Yeah, we'll call it magenta science on Fulgora. And I'm in the process of slowly creating some of the materials we need. These was it wires? Superconductors are one. Then I ran out of space, so that's when I figured I need to expand out and get off of this island, and then focus on doing my main production over on the big one, and then that'll be how we get science. But as you can imagine, because of the island constraint for our land masses, we need to be able to expand out and connect these islands, so we need rails in order to do that. And that's why the elevated platform rails are important. My thinking is to set up, I don't have a lot of room here, maybe we set up 2 rails, one that starts up here, and maybe one that's a little bit lower parallel here, and they run from this island to the one over here. And it's not a big distance. Some of the islands are close enough that you can get the large power poles to stretch across, which is kind of important for the power grid, which I'll show off in a sec. But we're going to need to traffic some of the more important materials from the smaller island here, and then build out production more here, because there's a decent amount of scrap that spawns in some large chunks here, and then up here. So what I've done, I've been playing a bit offline in order to get set up on Fulgora, not have to learn the crawling stages when we stream here. But I've been slowly sectioning off a protected perimeter using the lightning rods, and I think I need to continue to space some out so I have room to build. We want everything covered so there's no gaps. And we can always move stuff slightly if we need to arrange our buildings in a certain way. So as part of the kind of reclamation of this main landmass, which I haven't finished, I'll probably do it systematically here once we get everything set up. There's a lot of these ruin buildings that are all over the islands. And if you take your construction drones and just demolish everything, you get a whole array of different materials. And this is kind of how you get started initially before you can do a lot of harvesting and production. But we're going to need to clear all that off so we have room to build. And these relic towers, the lightning attractors, these are all part of the ruins. When you first start out and you're running around trying to get raw material to begin production, these are kind of like your safe haven. They will pull the lightning, but they can't be connected to a power grid, so they're sort of a temporary refuge in the beginning. But once you have the tech to build lightning rods, you'll demolish these and put down actual things that can connect to your power grid. Okay. And I've transported some cliff explosives over from Volcanus so that I can start leveling out the field a bit on the island. Only really that important for the border, so I can run to and from the islands easily. Another thing of note before I forget, the oil oceans that border the islands are unique in that they can be harvested. I won't do this here, but I'll put it down to show. You can actually put pumps onto these things and it pulls up heavy oil. So right away we can get heavy oil, which we need for a bunch of different materials, and we need to break it down into medium oil, or was it light oil? Light oil. And we can break it into petroleum if we need to. So our oil production comes from the oceans, and it's very abundant. We get it in huge quantities, pretty much an infinite quantity of heavy oil. So that is how we get our fluid production underway, just by mining the oceans, or I guess pumping directly from the coastline here. So this main island is going to be our base of operations, ultimately. I don't know how far we're going to get today, but I'm going to try and start getting production underway here, since there's tons of space. If we head down towards the south end here, and I just trek across the ocean real quick, this smaller kind of peninsula vertical island here was close enough that I could span the distance with power poles. And so what I did was, rather than have to worry about immediately having a big power constraint on the main island when we start building there, I turned the small satellite island into one big power production site. So if we go down here, there's tons of the accumulator arrays that I've dropped down, and they shouldn't be drawing any power, so they'll just continue to fill. This grid is 5 gigajoules. That's a pretty big base of power. I think I've got more accumulators. So what I did in order to save time, and I didn't learn this from anybody, I just sort of did it. I'm sure people have a similar strategy when they get to this portion of the game. Whenever I need to build this grid out, I just go to my blueprints, I grab this mega accumulator blueprint, and then just drop down. Basically a big stamp of the entire array, and then my drones, my bots, will build it. But if I'm off by a slight thing, I have to redo it. Fortunately, that's not hard. But just like this, it drops down everything with a substation, which is, I don't know if I even had this before, but it's a power pole type building with a huge radius around it. And so it's good for creating these big grids of accumulators, and with just a click of a button, we can build out our power grid. And we're pretty much going to exhaust all of the space here on this island, which will be fine for now. If we outgrow this, I may have to section off the main island, but I think we're probably okay for a bit. 5 gigajoules is a pretty large amount of power, because our novice base was 2. Well, that's gigawatts. I don't know the conversion for gigawatts to like watts to joules here, what the increment is, but it should be pretty substantial. It looks like we have enough room to go one further. Yep. Okay. What we'll do is we'll extend out. These are the lightning rod towers. We don't want this to be uncovered. We go down to the end of the floor to handle here. So now our overall grid is probably 5.4-ish. 5.8. Okay, 5.8 for a pretty large amount of power that's not currently going anywhere. It's just being stored because we have nothing drawing all this energy, but we will eventually. So when we expand up here to the new site, we're pretty much set on power. And so I think I'll start by finishing working on the reclamation and clearing out all the ruins, and then we'll start setting up railways, because we also need to make sure we shore up the grid coverage for the lightning rods so I don't get zapped while I'm running around like this. So we can go as far as it'll go here. We connect one. Substations don't have the range of the large power poles, so they're kind of like a bigger coverage version of the regular ones. I've been throwing down storage chests for a lot of this raw material that I can just throw into a recycler or do something with later, or just want to clear it out for now. And one thing I did, and when I went back and grabbed some things from Volcanus, which, where's my transport platform? This thing should be parked. Okay. One thing I want to work on, which I might not be able to fully implement here yet, but I need iron ore. I actually need copper ore too, but I don't think you can get copper ore from the asteroids. Let's see. No, we can get carbon, we can get iron, we can get ice. We can't get copper. But one thing I did was I've pulled a bunch of calcite from Volcanus because at the recommendation of one of my friends who's the expert on this game, he recommended implementing foundries because of their production bonus. And so that's one thing I want to look at when we set up the new site for crafting some of the basic materials that we need. If we can get everything we need, it'll be faster than just doing regular construction. Hey, iFoldly's here. What's up, iFoldly? Welcome to the stream. It's good to see you. You're a good resource for making sure I'm not missing anything. iFoldly says you can eventually get copper ore from metallic asteroids via advanced metallic asteroid crushing. Let's see. What tier is that? Did I unlock that already? I forget how to even navigate to the space science. Let's see. I had something. Was it this one? No, I'm thinking of asteroid reprocessing. That's probably a separate later upgrade, huh? This lets you sort of do like a recycling loop to get better yield from the asteroids. That's different. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I want to use foundries on Fulgora, I could send iron ore down. We have a lot of iron ore that's being pulled from the asteroids. I can just create like an offshoot line, then I'll feed it into storage and then just drop it down to the surface. But until I get that advanced asteroid processing, I might need to go and grab copper ore from Novice and bring it over, which I could do. I could repurpose the freighter that I've got right now, which this one's also parked. This is what I was using to move calcite and tungsten from Volcanus to Novice, and it was just going in a loop. But I can repurpose this one to pull copper ore from Novice and take it over automatically to Fulgora. Yeah, okay, so advanced asteroid processing, 2000, red, green, blue, purple, yellow, white, and agriculture science. Yeah, I won't get that till Gleba. Gleba? gleba? Is it electromagnetic? Yep, that's the one from Fulgora. Oh, okay, that's a good suggestion. iFoldly says send up copper plate instead of ore. You get 1,000 copper plate per rocket versus 500 ore per rocket. Okay, okay. So we can send down ore from the platform that's above Fulgora now whenever we need it. But we can have our shuttlecraft take shipments of copper plates from Novice, which I should have pretty much an infinite supply of that over there. Okay, let's see what our coverage looks like. The little icon here, as far as I can tell, this means we're at risk of being struck by lightning. So if we see that, we're not under coverage. And then once we have the rods to divert, then we're clear. So I don't know if you saw me talking through it since you jumped on iFoldly, but I've kind of been learning the core gimmick loop on Fulgora, but I want to expand the production from this main island, which has got the majority of the stuff that I've been crafting. I ran out of space. So the idea is going to be for us to expand from here to this big landmass that I was clearing away a second ago. And then our production will be primarily here for everything we need for the science. So I'm probably going to need to move my landing platform from this island to here somewhere once I figure out where I'm going to build. That way when I send everything down, it can be sent down here. Maybe somewhere in the middle. I got to go in here with cliff explosives and clear all of these. Let's inner ring out. But anyway, the way I set up my recycling here, it's kind of janky, and I'm sure it's far from optimal. But right now, it's got everything going in a continuous loop to get stuff I need. I figure if I can at least get it consistently going, then when I expand out to more room, I can kind of come up with a more organized way to do maybe one massive recycling site. So right now it's spread between like auxiliary recyclers here, and then ones over here from the spot that they're all pulling different materials into storage. So a little bit messy, but it works for now. Because if we look at the tech tree, we need to be able to craft. We've got the superconductors already. The electrolytes were being crafted in a small quantity above the conductors. This is a fluid-based material that needs stone, oil, and holmium solution. And then the last component we need are supercapacitors. These are all the things that go into that electromagnetic science. And we should have no shortage of all of these materials, especially the batteries and electronic circuits. But until we get kind of more of a centralized production loop going, I don't think this is a good spot to worry about the science. So my initial thought was to build the first railway going from continent A to B here and have it go all the way across over the ocean and then drop off here. Or we could have it go further in. Maybe we go all the way inland with like a railway that drops off here in the middle. As I mentioned, I'd like to build here where it's clear and flat. So if we bulldoze all this, I had to go and grab a stack of cliff explosives. I don't know if I have enough. What we could do is, in fact, it might be faster now that I'm thinking about it, to have the platform grab these. I was thinking of just making the logistics platform go and grab the copper plates from Volcanus, but that's farther. I keep forgetting that Novice is in the middle. So any material that we need sent back and forth that's not respective to Volcanus specifically should be pulled up and sent from Novice. Otherwise, the platform has to go twice as long. Okay. Alright. I guess we did have enough. And so it's a little bit tedious, but just going through and mass bulldozing all the ruins on this main island is what I was doing earlier. But there is a lot of junk that needs to be thrown away. Not thrown away, just stored for later use. Okay, we need to extend out coverage. There's no toggle on the main map that shows the lightning rod coverage, is there? Doesn't look like it. That's just the power grid. Okay. Well, we can see it by just clicking on the building. Eventually, I'll need to have the entire island covered. Looks like I need to put one here. iFieldly says if you hold the lightning rod in your hand and click on map, you can see coverage. Oh, really? Ah, okay. That's very handy, thank you. And we can actually see just by putting the lightning rod anywhere on the map how it changes the coverage. What I was doing, and this was a bit tedious, but I was going kind of around the perimeter of the main area of the island, dropping down long-range power poles and lightning rods just to get the perimeter covered first. But I think what I need to do is just go into the center and build out the center, because I'm going to be building here in the flat space I just bulldozed, more so than up at the coastline initially. So maybe we should do that. Could save the perimeter for maybe straight power grids, because here, let's move this further in. I don't know if this is the common strategy iFoldly for Fulgora, because again, this is my first time running through the planet, but I turned this island that was close enough to get connected via long power poles, and this whole island is just accumulators. This is a 7 by 7 grid of accumulators with a substation in the middle, and so that's all this is. This whole thing is just substations and accumulators. I know there's an upgraded lightning rod piece of tech further down. Someone told me about that. So when I get that unlocked, I'll see if I need to change how the setup works. But this is how I've got power. This whole grid for this large island, I was telling the chat, is 5.8 gigajoules, which should be enough power for a while. But I don't think there's any other islands that are close enough to do that on. This one to the west, maybe? I don't think it's close enough. Yeah, from here to here? No, it's not close enough. Until we get foundations, yeah, we can't stretch over to here. So I think for now it's got to be the main island here. One thing I do like about the way Factorio's core gameplay loops work is there's multiple ways to come up with a solution to a problem. The game doesn't kind of pigeonhole you into one main method for doing stuff, maybe with the exception of the novice stuff, since everyone starts in the same spot. But I was reading, it was on the subreddit, some people tackle the power problem by doing just mass transporting of materials from point A to point B, and that's how they end up getting everything set up. Other people go for like large amounts of local solutions with power or whatever materials, and I've kind of done a hybrid of those methods so far, a little bit of both. Oh, we're gonna need to get logistics stuff created. We could probably do that here on the island once we start getting stuff over here. I fully says lightning collector is 60% fewer per stack, 66% greater radius, ×2 efficiency of grabbing lightning, 2x2 in size instead of 1x1, ×2 energy capacity. Okay, yeah, so that's a pretty big upgrade. I imagine once we get electromagnetic science underway, that's probably going to be one of the first things that unlocks for crafting. Oh, we can look. Just show us. We also get Tesla weaponry. Ooh, we get an upgrade to worker robot speed. That's nice. Here we are, lightning collector. You also get, oh, mech armor. That's the thing that lets you jump, right? Okay, there's some nice upgrades in the tree here. Okay, we need to get production underway here so that we can unlock some more useful tech. I think what I'll ultimately have to do, oh, quality level 3 as well. What I'll have to do is manufacture the magenta science and then ship it. I'm going to ship it to Volcanus, which, that's not the most efficient because it's the furthest away, but not knowing that I was going to have to do things in this order, this is where all my science stuff is being researched. And I set this up to account for all the future colors that I'm going to need, at least 2 more. And so everything is here. There is some on Novice too, but this is a more centralized setup on Volcanus. So my thought is to send the science here. But the downside is it's farther away. We have to go from here to here to here. It's too bad there's no direct route, but that's okay. I will deal with that once we actually get the science underway. That's a bit from now, I think. iFoldly says, Tesla weapons are good as they can do damage, stun enemies, and have a chance to jump to nearby enemies. Higher quality allows slightly higher range and higher chance of jumping. So it functions kind of like chain lightning. Imagine it's got a pretty high power draw, but being able to attack a group of enemies, I'm assuming we're going to need that for Gleba. I don't know too much about it since I've been trying to not get spoiled on all the stuff that comes up. I just know there's a lot of really hostile life forms there. Okay, let's see how we can orient the rails. We're gonna need to go from here onto the main continent. So I had all that stuff being produced knowing I was gonna use it. And that's down here. We're gonna need regular rails. We're gonna need a few of the platforms, the supports. And where did I put the ramps? Ramps. Tesla turrets, one shot every 2 seconds. 1 megawatt base consumption, 7 megawatts when firing. How does that compare to the laser turrets? I don't know if you have the raw stats side by side. But laser turrets just sweep. They don't jump. So I'm assuming you're paying for a larger energy consumption for the ability to kind of nuke things in a group more effectively. Okay, one can take off turbines. Turbines and heat exchangers. Okay, I haven't played around elevated rails really much at all. My understanding is we need to create the elevated platform to get them lofted. And then from here we can use the connectors to extend them out. Yeah, like that. And we can't build on the deep ocean. I saw that was one of the tech upgrades on the tree. So we're gonna have to kind of weave a little, which doesn't look great, but it's okay. And then we have to have it descend. And this will be touching down on the surface, I think. Okay, there we go. That's a side by side. So laser versus Tesla, 24 versus 30, 1.5 shots versus 0.5 shots. $20 laser versus 120, 24 kilowatts versus 1 megawatt passive. Okay, yeah, so it's like seven times the consumption approximately when firing. Okay, so you just have to have a pretty good power grid to supplement that. It sounds useful. I was also telling chat that on our novice base, because we have decently upgraded artillery, the biters are more or less staying out, but I'm probably going to need some more advanced defenses for Gleba when we get there. And then now I got to figure out, I don't work with rails enough to know like intrinsically how to set everything up, so I usually just have to brute force and trial and error it until it correctly goes automatically, but that's fine for now. Let's call this holmium plate destination. My thinking here is to have two rails kind of parallel, or maybe we'll have the other one come in a little lower, but one for the holmium plates and the other for the holmium solution. So we have one regular commodity rail and one fluid rail. Ifoldy says on Gleba, the locals will be sure to give you a high five. All I know about that planet from a friend of mine who's played thousands of hours in this game is that he said, to quote, Gleba is terrible and Gleba is wonderful. And by that, I think he means it's a cool planet, but it's also got a lot of frustrating stuff. The only thing I know about the unique mechanic is that there is like agricultural stuff you do there, and there's a spoilage mechanic you got to deal with. These pipes are in the way. I guess I can just chop one end off of this. Because what I want to potentially do is have the engine pull up here. And then, where is it? The holmium plates are up here. So maybe I just pull a line, or I can do it with bots, it's not that far. Have it load up everything here. So we need an engine. And I'm thinking two cars? This thing's gonna just be going on autopilot, so we don't need a huge amount, because this is gonna go back and forth forever. Ifoldy says, spoilage essentially means if you have organic stuff on a belt, it will rot. Some items take longer to rot than others. Yeah, so you have to deal with a whole, I don't know if it's like refrigeration specifically, but you've got to deal with the spoilage in order to keep the important commodities from going bad and getting them where you need to go, while dealing with a lot of hostile life forms. So that'll be fun. Okay, we're gonna need fuel for all the trains, and I did craft rocket fuel, but it's on the other island. I guess we could put a couple rocket fuel chemical plants. I can wedge them just wherever I can find room here, because you can make that out of the heavy oil, right? Yep. Let's see, might be able to squeeze a couple in here. We need some that are going to craft the fuel, and then some that are going to craft the raw component for the fuel, and then another one that's going to craft it into the rocket fuel itself. Let's see, maybe we could do something like this. It's going to be not the cleanest way to do it, but that's fine, as long as it works. Maybe we can cut off part of this. Make some room up here, just like that. I need to make more of these. I did not set this up to craft down here. I probably should before we branch out to the next area. Oh, I'm blind. That's not gonna work. I keep forgetting that it's a material commodity, not a fluid. I should have done is build up one tier, that whatever. It's fine. Yeah, that's what I was thinking initially, fully for converting heavy to light, but we have heavy in such a vast quantity. I think it's easier just to go heavy to solid fuel, or I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. We have an abundance of solid fuel. I keep forgetting that it's one of the things that we get recycled. I've got a lot of it down here. So I can just grab all this and then set the plants up to just convert it with the recipe for fuel here. Light oil plus fuel. It doesn't need to be broken down. Yeah, we initially set up the cracking from heavy to light. That's down here. I was using that for the conductors. Okay, yeah, I don't even need this over here. We just need a set of them up here. We could do like 4 of them. Similar, I fully says similarly use the solid fuel to feed the boilers for another power supply. Oh, I never thought to do that. How much better is the yield for solid fuel versus rocket fuel? Let's see. Vehicle top speed, 115%. Can you use that as fuel for the trains? You can. Oh, there's no real reason for me to go rocket fuel then. I forgot that you can even do that. So I can just have solid fuel making my trains go. I have a lot of it. I appear to have solved my own problem. Okay, we got coverage. Is it not close enough? Is it not reach? There it goes. Okay. Solid fuel is 12 megajoules per 600 megajoule, or 600 megajoules per stack. Rocket fuel is 100 or 2 gigajoules per stack. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's going. So we're only going a short distance, so I don't think having super top speed is really that necessary here. And this will also give us a spot to maybe do 1,000. Or we could just fill the whole thing up, actually. It's being pulled off of the line in pretty large quantities. Okay. I'll grab some, throw in this other one. There they go. Okay, so now we just need to grab some holmium stacks. It probably says now, how many more bots do you need to get the network going? I need way more. That's one thing I forgot to grab when I sent my transport to Volcanus. I'll have to do that. Or I could see on Novice. I didn't set my Novice network up as well as I did on Volcanus. So let's see, where are bots being produced? They're in the middle somewhere. They're here. Yeah. What I should have done last time I was here, I forgot, is set up these so that they're network chests. Right now they're not. But in the auxiliary base, I think they are. That might have been a way to kind of correct. Yeah, they're down here. So I think it's all connected. I have a rocket that's down here in the auxiliary base. So I think what I can do is have this one, if I send my transport platform back to Novice, I think I can have this one grab a bunch of bots for me. Like, let's try that and see if it works. This thing's just chilling up here doing nothing. I don't want it running on auto for now. I'm just having it fly when I need something. So we'll send it back and we'll see if we can grab... let's have it grab 10 stacks of these. And we'll have it grab 5 stacks of these. I was telling the chat towards the beginning of the stream that I need to remember that I have a lot of control over what I can tell my bases to do. Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about the limit of... Is it stacks of 50 per rocket? Yep, you're right. 50 capacity. All right. I don't have the flying frames on the network though. That's the problem. Not on Novice or Volcanus. Because here, I'll show you what I did. I might not have an immediate solution to the problem. I might just have to go and grab them by hand. Let's see. Unlike other bases, I didn't put the flying robot frames on the bus. I have them being crafted here and being turned directly into bots. So I'd have to reconfigure this slightly to have them being produced into like a chest that I can throw into the rocket. So even though it's kind of inefficient now, I think I'm gonna have to just grab 1 stack for just like right now. Where is it? Yeah, we'll just tell it to do that. I could have this thing running back and forth. I think it's got enough fuel to do that. But let's make this its own group. And now I realize that we have to do it in stacks of 50, so everything should get pulled from wherever what it was at down here. get launched. I think it's all connected to it's all connected to the network. Or what we could do is just get the production to do this on Fulgora eventually. Yeah, it's on the network. Oh, we got him. And then we just turn around and head back. But yeah, when I get back to Novice and I start messing around with the base some more, I need to put the frames on the network. In fact, I might be able to do it remotely. Let's try. All the materials, like the inserters and the chests, are on the network now. They just need to be flown from, it's like up here. And then drop down here. I fully says I got bored one weekend and wondered which items were cheaper to send up, components and build in orbit. Yeah, I could see that from what you're saying with the stack size. That limitation is a pretty big indication of what makes the most sense. If you can fit more of the individual components per rocket, like this one's 150, then that makes more sense than crafting the item which only goes in stacks of 50, in this case the bots. Okay. So that should send down the stack of 50. It's better than nothing. Fully says the other idea for the flying robot frame chest, put it between two flying robot frame assemblers and use two inserters to feed the chest from each of the two. Oh yeah, because you're doing two different things. What you're saying is instead of putting this here, put it here. That's a good idea. See, this is why I'm glad you're here, iFoldly. You have much better ideas than I do. Oh, now it's just gonna sit there, though. Nah, whatever. I have different ideas, maybe not better ideas. I think your ideas are better than mine, because you've been playing this game longer than I have. So, not a problem. Okay. Back to work on the rail. I built it one too high. I did build it one too high. We want these to pull all the holmium on the entire island. I don't think we're ever going to top out at 4,800, but a full chest's worth, since it'll be carted off of here. iFoldly says, when the bot's hovering and holding item, it means the bot has nowhere to put it. You may need to put a yellow chest on Novice so that poor bot can drop off the green inserter. So I was wondering about that. I don't have the yellow chest being produced anywhere Let me see if I can set that up real quick. Though I only have the blue and purple right now, but I think I could set up another one since it's the same components, right? Where was it? I remember where I put all those. I think I put Oh boy, where did I put the logistics chests? Oh, they're here. Oh, they're here. Okay. So let's just see. Okay. I'll just duplicate the setup and I'll change the output. If I have room. I don't have room. I'd like to have these grouped together. All right, put them here then. Okay, we have all the components to do this, so this should just take a sec for the bots to go grab what they need. I guess they're gonna do the assemblers last. I know they're on the network. Assemblers are right here. Alright, let's give them a sec to drop those down and we'll start constructing the yellow chests. So my question was this, and maybe you can show me once we actually get them produced and I can drop them down on the network. I was having an issue figuring out how to get the bots to just dump stuff in the yellow chest on their own. And maybe it's because I have to set up... Do I have to set up a commodity that'll tell them to put things in there? Or will they do it automatically whenever there's overflow? Because that's why I have this thing here that says there's not enough space. If I could solve that and get that icon out of there, that would make me so happy. I just ignore it now. Huh. That's strange. Why are they not grabbing the assemblers from here? Oh, it's the wrong color. Why did I make that blue? That should be purple. Okay, that's why. Now they should grab it. There we go. Bots will dump stuff into a yellow chest automatically. You can filter yellow chests to only have certain items in them. Okay, all right. So we can tinker around with that now, and then I might need to add this into my production for my Fulgora site because I don't like overflow. Oh, I think you're right. That one that was hovering over here just took off. Foley says, a question I would have is why I use purple chests instead of red. Purple chests are forcing items to the network, while red only provides if needed. I wasn't aware there was a difference. Most of the stuff that I have being dropped into the purple chest, in fact, I think everything I have being put in there, is stuff that needs to go directly onto the network because I'm using it for something. I guess if I had materials that were just being crafted but not readily needed, I could use red. I don't know if it matters that much for the way I've set everything up. But I think... Wait, I Can I put one of these somewhere? Well, let's put one of these. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to see if things were actively overflowing into the yellow chest. Oh, yeah. That's a lot of stuff that's going in there. I don't know if that did what I needed it to do. Bots will grab from purple chest before yellow or green, and yellow or green before red. Huh. So you're saying that if I have the important stuff that I need in purple and everything else in red, then it won't flood the network? Maybe that's why I couldn't get these things to do what I wanted them to do. If these were red, I don't think I'd be having this problem that I'm having right now. Huh. So like down here, just for an example, this is going to be kind of a mess until I figure it out, but this chest here is pulling these green circuits off so that they can be used elsewhere in the network. But are you saying if I don't need these to be in constant use, I can make this a red chest and then everything wouldn't get pulled out of here and being stuck everywhere else? Okay. Okay, I don't have reds though. Well, this is gonna be a nice fun sidebar. Okay, I need to duplicate this setup so that I can make reds. Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to show me how to use the upgrade planner in a sec, but I need to get reds first. I've never done everything en masse like that before, but let me do one thing at a time. I have made the problem infinitely worse for the moment, but it should be fixable all remote. Because I think what you're saying is when I set the script correctly, then the construction bots will go and convert every purple one to red. Okay. It was missing the circuits. I got it. Now it's going. Okay, now we got red chests. So how do I configure the upgrade planner? That toggles it on. But where's the option to tell it what I want it to do? Dark, so I can't see, but okay. So that works. Right click on the upgrade planner. Let's see. Not on the toolbar. Right clicking doesn't do anything. Clicking it toggles it on, same as Alt U. While we're figuring that out, I'm going to start converting these chests from purple to red. I'll put down some of the yellow ones. Hopefully solve this buffer problem quickly. That is not good. Okay, put the upgrade planner in my inventory. I don't think I can do that because I'm not on the planet. Oh, no, I could do it on... I mean, do it on Fulgora. My bad. Right click. Okay, here we go. So we want from purple to red. Okay, while I'm here, I might as well get it to start building the reds and the yellows. Might be out of space. I have the blues and purples being crafted on the smaller island. That's where I started. Yeah, let's handle the novice situation first. Okay, so if I have the thing selected, how do I actually get it to go? Normally you just have to... Oh god, it's a mess. I should start with all the commodities that are being upgraded. So I configured it to go from purple to red, but why is it not letting me select anything? Yeah, it's not letting me do it remotely. Well, I think we might have to take a field trip back to Novice to fix that. That shouldn't be too bad. It's a lot of materials that need to be converted over, but I should be able to just one and done it. Especially since it's going to be crafting a lot of the reds in the time it takes me to get back there. Alright. Where is my transport? Field trip time. Okay, it's here. Well, we'll go back to first island. That's where the rocket silo's located for now. We'll get in. We'll fly back to Novice. We'll get this problem sorted out, and then hopefully it'll be fixed forever. Maybe while I'm down here. Oh, man. Problem is I'm out of room here as well. Okay, I will... You could duplicate this setup and just make it reds and yellows. Wherever we have space. Here? Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I'm just gonna duplicate it because we're still gonna need that stuff. I probably will phase out purples for a bit, to your point, but it's okay. I can just set it up to duplicate here. We could test it. But I don't really have any reds at the moment. We got to start crafting. This one needs reds. Oh, we're kind of strapped for reds because my recycling line shut down here because I haven't been maintaining it. That's going to be a bit of a problem. Fine, we'll just manually force it to restart. I kind of abandoned this base because aside from a couple things that I had at crafting, I'm not using it for anything. I was using all the stuff up the main base. So everything just kind of locked up here once everything got choked on the belts. Okay, we'll just dump all the crap for now. Yep, now we got a few reds. So we can test to make sure the upgrade thing works. Again, I don't care too much about what's down here, because eventually everything's going to shut down again, but we can at least make sure it works. Nope, it's not letting me select it. I wonder if I didn't configure it correctly. Here's what I did. I know I tabbed in here real quick, but this is what I have it set to in the upgrade planner. From purple to red. Do I need to do anything else here in order to get it to actually do it when I want to change a building? Or do I have to have the stuff in my inventory? Yeah, I could put it on my toolbar. I'll get rid of that. There it goes. Okay, it had to be on my toolbar? Oh, that's interesting. So, using it from there, I had to have the reds in my inventory. So as long as I have it in my inventory, it'll work. Yeah. Huh. Does that mean I have to do it all manually by hand? Because that's kind of annoying. Now we're out of reds. This was not the place to do this. I should have set this up at the other base, because we're really short on red circuits here. I'll probably do this in the big island base once we get it set up. I'll do all the colors I need. I'll go blue, red, yellow. No, we'll phase out purples for now. Otherwise, I would do that. I would cover the entire base, but we don't have enough red circuits to make enough of these chests fast enough. But like, that's only going to cover a fraction of them. Well, what we could do... Alright, I know I'm jumping all over the place here. We could put this entire setup. Let's copy it out of here. We could build this in the other side if there's room. And then just change the output to red and yellow there, because there's tons of red circuits in the other base, just not here. Let's see. We could put this, not a lot of space. Oof. This is why we need to leave. Yeah, I don't have a real good way to set this up here. This is not really a good spot for this, but Oh, all of the stuff that I need to craft it. It's at the other base too. I don't think we have. Oh no, we do. It's down here. All the belts and whatnot. But there might not be any construction bots on this network. Yeah, let's see if I can get this to work, and then we'll go back to novice and try and unsort this debacle down here. I'll have this go red. This one's gonna go yellow. All right. Okay, we're doing laps. Let me run back over here because I don't think I've put construction bots on the network since I've been building everything by hand. So I have to be in proximity for that to work, I think. It's okay. Ifoldly says, fortunately I have to pop off to sleep. Have fun in the factory, must grow. Alright, Ifoldly, thanks for stopping by and helping me. I will get the situation on Novice sorted out. So hopefully the next time you tune into the stream, there shouldn't be this blinking light saying there's no room on the network. Which, again, if I can solve that, it would make me very happy because that little icon has been driving me crazy. So have a good, restful night's sleep, and I will definitely catch you later. I wonder if I split my construction drones and actually put them on the network if the upgrade planner will work. That'd be a good test. Alright, what if I put them all in there? Just to see what'll happen. Because it'd be stupid if you could only use the upgrade planner locally. I don't think that's the intent. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. That's control. I want to control you, not Alt-D. Okay. Let's see, we can test it on here. Okay. I wanted all of these that were in my inventory to not be there so I can see if it'll let me do it automatically. And I'm going to put them on the network. Let's drop them, all the reds in here, and we'll see if the upgrade planner works. Let's do all these. No, I think it's because that's using the universal one, not this one. There we go. Okay. So I got to tell it what to do specifically. But as long as it's on the network, it should do it. Okay, alright. So it'll do it. Maybe we can convert everything in the main base, since that's what initially is the most important. There's tons of purple chests. Oh, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment getting used to using those, but I guess like Eiffel Lead suggested, we could just select the entire base. But I don't think it'll... Well, no. No, it'll do it. Okay. I forgot we can actually area select from the map screen, so that should be everything. As long as there are enough of the reds there. Let's see, I think it did it. All the reds are swapped to or all the purples are swapped to reds now. Okay, alright. So now that works. Now I'll go back to novice and hopefully fix this problem once and for all. So first we'll dump all of our inventory. And we'll get into space. In fact, hold on. I just realized that our toolbar is visible when we're looking at the auxiliary base. So if we select the upgrade tool from the bar, I might not even need to go here. We'll figure this out right now before I actually send the shuttle and travel. First, do we have all of the... We have the reds in stock. We do. But we are short greens. Okay, that's fine. Everything should be connected, so if we just click this, where's the first major batch of purples? Down here? No, it doesn't let us select everything. Well, we can't use that upgrade planner remotely. Ah, okay. I think we gotta go there. It's fine. Of course, this is gonna drop us in the main base, so we'll have to walk all the way down and take the train to the auxiliary base. Unfortunately, they're not that far apart. Yeah, the defenses look like they're holding. I was looking at the ammo count. If we send this platform around too much, we run in the risk of taxing our ammo supply, but I think it's alright for now. I think there's enough of the asteroids coming in that will let us go. Okay, park at novice. Let's go get our hands dirty trying to solve the logistics nightmare. Actually, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to run to the auxiliary base and get the reds, and then I'll have to run back here and then fix all the ones here since these are all purple too. But if I have... Actually, I could put them on the network here and have it just start going. Let's do that. All I have to do is duplicate the production setup from down here, put it in the main base, and they'll just start crafting. There should be an abundance of materials for reds there. Okay. We'll put it... I don't know if it really matters where we put it. Oh, we could put it up here. Or is it crafting the assembler, third level assemblers? Oh, whoops, this is... I'm in the wrong base. We want it up here. Okay, it's pulling everything it needs from up here. It's a little bit far away from the site, but that's alright. We'll just grab the essentials. I might be able to help it out a little here. Oh, no, there it goes. Okay, I should delete that other one so it's not pulling resources from the wrong spot. Oh, good lord, look at that. Okay, we gotta go solve that problem. That's terrible. It's gonna be a mess for a while. Alright, we gotta truck it all the way across, take the train down, and then start. We might be able to do it from here. Just have it start now. Okay. Core production stuff. Where are all the purples? Nope. Yeah. That's why I'm even here to begin with. I need to be close by. Let's actually... alright. I was gonna say I could do the purple ones up at the top first, but we'll go down here and do the main base first. I think that's where the majority of the traffic's coming from. Okay, now we're here. Let's see. Go ahead and save. It's been actually a minute since I saved. Why won't it let me click the planner? Wasn't doing this earlier. Trying to I wonder if it got bugged and I have to reset it. Oh, that's easy enough to do. Let's see if that fixes it and we put it back on our bar. Purple to red. Okay, I think it's doing it now. Now, this might be one of the worst ideas I've ever had, but if we just tell it to do the entire base. Let's see what happens. And I think we're going to need a bunch of overflow. I got to sort all this garbage out later, which is going to be a nightmare, but let's just see. Because this is all the stuff that was just sitting somewhere. Okay, I assume it's going to stop doing that at some point. Okay, while all the bots are flying around, let's go see if it's actively switching everything over. I think it is, which is what we want. Oh, we're short iron. Like all of our logistics is kind of screwed up for the moment. That's okay. Fortunately, there's nothing critical being built here that's going to be the end of the world, but I'm curious to see if we eventually get this whole problem fixed. Oh, now see, I can click remotely now. Okay. Change this to yellow. Why am I so short on iron down here? That would be why. That would be why. Okay, let's see. There are now no longer any overflow icons left in the auxiliary base, so that's good. The question is everything going where it needs to go now? I think we're bottlenecked at green circuits. What I might do, again, this was at the suggestion of a friend of mine, which I didn't even think about when we were working in here before, but I might overhaul the smelting facilities down here. I didn't think to do this, but we have calcite that was shipped down to Novice. We have a lot of it. So I might think of a way to get it down here. I might be able to use the train, since the train's really just taking artillery shells from the main base down here. But I might gut all this and replace these electric furnaces with foundries, which should produce things faster and might even allow us to shrink down the production a bit. Either that, or I might add in foundries on top. We'll see. But now what's everything doing over here? Huh. I almost wonder if that freed up some of the production for the drones and the logistics, rather. Okay, I might need to set up another chest that's gonna grab greens, So I think this is the only one right here that's feeding up here to where all the red circuits are being produced, which is kind of a problem. Oh, that one's just outside the range. Okay. We'll have to put a roboport down. Now it'll contribute the green circuits to the network. Okay. I think we're alright here. Let's go back up to the main site. And we're going to do this for everything in the main site, and then hopefully, if I do nothing else this session, in fact, at least on Novice, I have to do this on Volcanus too, but Volcanus's production is stopped for the moment. So let's see. Oh no, it will let me do it remotely now. That's very odd. Okay, I got an idea. I'm gonna try and micromanage this. We're going to take this entire setup. We're going to go onto Volcanus, and we'll do this wherever we have room. Right here. Yeah, it's as good a place as any. Yeah, we'll put it here for now. Okay, it's all in the network. So the bot should craft the equivalents here. As long as we put the purple chests on the network too. Trying to remember where I had it crafting those. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Oh no, it's up here. Okay, they should be on the network then. Alright, the destination chest should go in there when the bots get to it. Maybe they're going to do that last. Maybe? That's weird. I double check. These aren't blue. So it should be grabbing... Oh, it's because these are red. Yeah, there's no red on the network yet. Okay, I think I need to make these purple first just so they have a place to go. Yeah, that's why. And then we'll convert them to red once they actually start accumulating stock of the red chests. Then we'll be able to use them. There they go. I should be able to drop modules in here too. All right. So now these are going. Going through a lot of iron. Or steel, rather. It shouldn't be an issue. Oh, we got a boatload of steel. Alright, now what we're going to do is what we did on Novice, which I guess because the upgrade planner got bugged, I didn't actually need to go to that planet, but it's alright, we're here. Everything of value and note should be on the network. So if I go upgrade all purples to reds, then it should do it. I cannot tell if it is doing anything. It's got them all queued, but why is it not sweeping through and doing the upgrade? I'm looking at the count of all the red chests. It should be grabbing them and sending them out, but it's not. Oh. Oh, there are no construction bots. That might be why. There's no construction bots on the network. Uh-oh. See if we can pull them. What I want to do is have these request that a bunch of the construction drones get dropped in here so they can be used to do the actual construction. I don't think I have any construction drones on the network at all. I think that's why it's not going. But why is it not? Why is it not grabbing them? I might have to just go to Volcanus and fix this by hand. At least move the drones into the logistics network so they can do the thing. Because right now it's not going anywhere. Okay. Well, that's annoying. I guess we can see if we can have it work properly here. Like if we just do all that, will it work? Yes, it looks like it will work. What about over here? I'm not really using a lot of drones over here. It's kind of in the heart of the base where it really matters to clear out all the purple chests. And definitely down where all the nuclear power is being produced. There's a whole grid of overflow here. Looks like these got converted properly. Okay. Well, the icons went away, so I think we just need to go fix Volcanus, and then I think we're good. This was a fun sidebar that got us off of the core path of what we're set out to do. But that's okay. That will happen in Factorio. So let's get back up to the transport. Fly over to Volcanus. Fix the network. Still don't know why it's not grabbing the construction drones. Oh well, we're gonna go there and fix it. Fix it by hand. All right, the last major objective before we wrap up for today's session will be fixing that, and then hopefully I don't have to worry about it again. So yeah, I don't see any more more overflow icons, so at the very least, that did what it needed to do. I'll have to go and eventually sort out all this garbage later. But hopefully I put enough of these here. Maybe I'll just make a grid, because if they run out of overflow space in the network, then it's going to give me the same thing. But we're here. Unfortunately, it doesn't take us too long to get from point A to point B. We haven't been on Volcanus in a hot minute. It's like returning to a summer home. Okay. So if we go here, take that out. Yep, there we go. Now that should systematically start wiping out all of the things that we need. Upgrading everything to purple. And then we'll put an overflow grid just like we did in Novice. We'll just put it somewhere out of the way. Put it down here. Okay, I think everything is being pulled down here. We'll build out more, just don't run out of space. But production should now be okay. The icon is gone for the first time in 200 hours. How long is our save? I'm gonna save that. For the first time in probably 180 hours, that out of space network logistic error is gone. So hallelujah. Shout outs to iFoldlyGo for explaining to me how to get that fixed, because good lord, that was bugging me. Let's make sure all of the circuits have what they need. Yeah, although the bots are going where they need to go, I think everything that was overflowed is here. There's a bunch of science though. Why is that over here? I guess it won't matter when we eventually turn on science production. Then I think it's going to pull out of the storage if the rest of these get depleted. I guess we could turn it on and just see where it starts grabbing stuff. Since there's a lot of miscellaneous garbage in those yellow chests, but there's a lot of important things in there too. Like the different colored sciences. So that should get filtered out and then dropped where it needs to go. Let's see. I said I was going to do range. Let's give this a second to ramp up and see how much it's going to process. this is not only the Volcanus site, but the Novice site, which is also processing science. Although it's not quite as centralized like this, but it'll still help. That science per minute, I'm curious to see where it tops out at. Because right now it's saying at less than 300 science per minute, that's almost 8 hours. 320, 327, should hit 400. 5 hours. My guess is when it's fully running, assuming nothing gets starved out and stalls, my guess is the total time is going to be like 2 hours of when it's running at max science production. Or it could stop around 420. I might be wrong. I think it's going to be around 5 hours if everything keeps going the way it's going now, nothing runs out. That's a long time. That upgrade is going to be cooking for a minute. That's range though. We get that, and I'm pretty sure we're going to force the biters off of Novice. Not permanently, but for a while. They're going to be out of our hair. Five hours, 5 minutes. That's a long time. Looks like our overall science processing is in around 400 for something between 415 and 420. What's the Novice research site look like? Yeah, they're over here. We should have no issue with the orange science. I dropped a lot of that off here. Yeah, okay, down here. Even with the two sites going full steam, that is a long time for that upgrade. But that's okay. I'm sure I'll be able to keep myself occupied for 5 hours till that eventually finishes. Okay, well, what we'll do is we will take the shuttle back to Fulgora now that I think everything's squared on Volcanus. My guess is it's possible that we might get starved out on some of the sciences eventually, but for now, we'll see. It's a pretty decent buffer. It might be somewhat at a balance. We'll see. But we should be good to peace out from here now. What we'll do is we'll drop back onto Fulgora, and then that's going to be where I'm going to work for the foreseeable future. Okay, we're gonna have to pass by Novice all the way back to Fulgora. But we should have more than enough fuel. I think we're fine on fuel. This transport platform is a pretty well-oiled machine. I haven't needed to tweak anything on it. I think as long as it can recharge and refuel, I'm not running it constantly, it will get from point A to point B whenever I need it to. Because it goes through a ton of ammo as we're flying out there and trying to get rid of all the incoming asteroids so it doesn't damage the platform itself. Oh, I just realized it's doing that all with level 2 assemblers as well. I should transport some level 3s. Guess it's alright for now. Yeah, we can see the reserves. This isn't the active fuel consumption, that's down here on the thrusters, but these tanks are the reserves. Over time, it will run out a bit, but I think because it's got enough of a buffer between one planet and the next, I can do like 2 jumps comfortably. 3 would be pushing it. So I might have to create like a large scale platform that's going to have more total fuel if I'm going to be going from multiple planets in a loop with transport. But we'll worry about that later. Okay, with that we are back on Fulgora. Where did I leave all my stuff? Oh, it's all on the other island because that's what the silo is. I'm gonna have to create probably multiple rocket silos on the main island once we get built up there. Because right now having to touch down on the middle island but run back here to get my stuff is not ideal. That's okay. Alright. So this island, again, we'll leave this one alone for now. But on quote-unquote main island, before we expand, I think we've solved the logistics problem for now. We've got nothing but red chests everywhere. Officially stop using purple for the moment. And so the next thing that I have to tackle is getting the railway underway, as it were, and getting all of the stuff being transported on line A, and I don't think I gave this a name. This one is holmium plates. Origin. We do that, and then we need to also set up a routing for Holmium solution, which will be feeding out of here. And these are dry now. Why are these dry? Did I run out of stone? Ran out of stone? How's that possible? Oh. Oh, interesting, huh? This line is choked by, of all things, low density structures. I don't think I ever thought that would happen. Okay, that is one of the most scarce commodities, so I'm not gonna trash that. We're gonna have them hold on to those in storage. That would be why we're starved on stone. We can set a filter here to grab stone as well, since it is coming off the line. Just to supplement and make sure that Holmium Solutions area doesn't run out for now. Alright. I guess we were away for so long that everything got backed up with low density structure. That's the first time that's happened. Now everything is going. Reason why I'm creating these buffer like back overflows, just we want everything to keep processing, and holmium is especially rare, so we don't want it to top out and stop collecting holmium. How are we doing on ore? Okay, stacking up iron ore. I don't have copper ore though. You'd think breaking the copper plates down gets you copper ore, but I've yet to see it pop up, and we're breaking down a lot of copper plates. I wonder. Guess it doesn't matter. If we use the refinery or foundry, we can have it doing iron, and then we can truck in copper plates. Okay, that'll be fine for now. Alright, so still more work to be done. Hopefully when we return to Factorio on stream, we'll have the main island on Fulgora up and running with production for Magenta Science. Lots of interesting stuff to unlock there. See, we're still up here around 420 per minute. If I wanted to, I could leave this game running overnight, but the likelihood for something to go wrong while I'm sleeping is definitely not something I want to risk. So this upgrade will be done by the time we stream it next. But we'll go ahead and save. And let's see who is online that we can raid. Oh, hey, Kondo's online. He is playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's the Borderlands adventure game. I have not had a chance to raid Kondo in a while. Let's go see how he's doing. So what we'll do is we will go mute this and go to outro. And we will call that a fairly productive session in Factorio. Again, I mentioned earlier, but shouts to iFoldy for the pro tips. We solved a major problem that's been bugging me for hours and hours and hours and hours. But we will be back not tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday, and we'll be doing a midweek beatbox jam stream. So if you want to come by and hear me talk about beatbox stuff and work on BGM track ideas, feel free to stop on by. But in the meantime, thanks for the folks who came and hung out. Hope everyone has a good rest of your evening or morning, and I will catch you in the next one. Now let's go see how the Borderlands is going.